people are waiting and they're dropping off. Yeah, go on mute if you can. Hey, welcome to the live stream. Not going to start just yet, but waiting for people to trickle in. How are you doing? Moderators, am I live? Can you hear me? Post in the chat what country you're from, where you're viewing from. So, all right. So, yeah, we're just going to wait for people to come in. I have a bit of a delay on my end, so I'm going to ask a question, then I'm going to have to wait like 30 seconds before I can see your answers. So, this is all new to me. So, hope you enjoy it. A little quiet, you can hear me? Okay. Thank you, Afrodolor. I think I said that right. I'm going to up my mic volume. I appreciate that. All right. All right. How's that for the volume? Is it still quiet? Oh, Guillermo Arcoverde. Pleasure having you. Guillermo, folks, is helping me translate some of the text into Brazilian Portuguese, which is wonderful. He's a very accomplished translator, so I'm very grateful to have him helping me out. All right, Mariana, welcome from Brazil. All right, thank you, Afrodolor. Okay, cool. Thank you, guys. I appreciate that feedback on the mic volume there. So we got Scotland, we got Brazil, we got Los Angeles. I'm in Los Angeles. This is where I'm from. Some people think I'm in Japan, but I travel there. I like to travel there. I'm not always there, but I have like a lot of Japanese friends and even some family. So it's always fun to go out there. But this is where my home is. And what's cool about Los Angeles is you have every culture here. So in one day, you can go snowboarding, you can go surfing, you can go to the beach, you can get Brazilian food, you can get Japanese food, all in the same day. It's pretty amazing out here, aside from the wildfires. Cool. Thanks to have you all here. And yeah, what's funny about Los Angeles is that there's a lot of cultures out here, and I get mistaken for every single one of them, I think. People wonder where I'm from. And my family's from India. My parents are from India, but I grew up here. So I like to joke that I'm more Californian than Indian. But, it's a great multicultural place to be. Cool. And Guillermo was telling me about, I hope I'm saying your name right, by the way, but telling me about the Japanese community in Brazil. And there's so much history and culture there. It's really amazing. I really like that in this modern age that we can be very multicultural and very metropolitan. And your culture can be kind of defined not by where you're from, but it can also be defined by your interests. And I think that is a really special thing that other generations haven't really been able to do. I'm Califindian. Thank you, Afrodolor. I'm going to use that. That's really good. But yeah, like I was saying, it's so cool. You have so many cultures, and the idea that there's a big Japanese speaking community in Brazil is just so amazing to me. And we're starting to have different Japanese communities out here in Los Angeles, as you can imagine. We have actually a few different Japanese I call them enclaves. A lot of people know about Little Tokyo, but not, and that has, of course, a lot of Japanese culture. But if you're local, you'll also know that there's places like the Sawtell neighborhood and also places around Gardena and Torrance that also have a strong Japanese community. And in Orange County, there's also a lot of Japanese students. And one of my favorite Japanese restaurants, a place called Kapo Honda, which is like a Japanese izakaya, which is like a Japanese tapas bar. Always fun there because I feel like you're actually in Japan in that place. So always fun for me to go there. I feel very nostalgic when I'm there. All right, and appreciate all you guys that came early. I know that we're going to start in about 4 minutes, but always good to have people here. Yes, Kapahanda is very yum. And at this time, I want to thank everyone for the survey, by the way, because I know a lot of you are here because of that. So I really, really appreciate that. That data really helps me improve the app and also gives us data on how better to serve you. Because I know a lot of people think like making an app is like it's just for me, that the app maker, but it's really about the community. And at some point when you make an app, it becomes part of the community, and you can't just have the total control over it anymore. A lot of apps, in my personal view, tend to not do as well when they try to take control away from it and hold on to it. Um, but when it drives the community and when the user base and the community start driving things, then it becomes kind of like shared, and that's my view on things. And also, we will have the drawing for the winner of the raffle for the $25 um, Amazon gift card at the kind of toward the end of this session. And yeah, if you're there at the end and your name is called, you will get an extra $5 and bump it from 25 to $30 US. So thank you all again for the surveys. Thank you for sticking around. Appreciate that. Afro Dolor is saying that not many Japanese people in Scotland, so the food tends to be sporadic at best. Sorry to hear that. It's always fun to make Japanese food. I studied Japanese food in grad school. Sorry, I studied Japanese language in grad school. And I remember one of the things we did that was really fun was to have a lot of students over, and we kind of had like a sushi making night. Kind of made hand rolled sushi, and it was really fun. We're all having a good time. Some people brought sake and they started drinking. They're all of drinking age, so that was good. Um, Let me see here. I want to just check on any other comments. I'm going to check in the Facebook side, see if I missed anybody, because I'm live streaming to Facebook and YouTube. All right, so yeah, sushi making, Japanese food making parties are really fun. It's always fun to just find a recipe too and alter it to suit your dietary needs. I do that, and share it with people. One thing that my brother and I used to do, I have two brothers, but one of them is really into Japanese culture, and he would make okonomiyaki, which literally means kind of like as you like it, which sounds Shakespearean, but it's a really cool dish. It's like a savory pancake, and has a lot of cool little ingredients mixed in, like some fresh, herbs and veggies, and some people use meat. I like the meat substitutes, the plant-based ones. So you can do as you like it with okonomiyaki. All right, so we're getting close to the 1 o'clock hour. Hopefully, we'll get a lot more people coming in. But if it's just you guys, we'll keep it nice and cozy. I'm totally cool with that. Um, yeah, so maybe in the chat, you guys can also share, why you're learning Japanese, because that always fascinates me. I started learning it kind of for fun. I'll get into that a little bit later. But I know a lot of people learn it for many different reasons, and it'd be cool to hear your reasons for learning it. It is a fun language. I think you all know that. But to me, it's very like modular. It's like Legos. I really like that part of it. And it's just fun when you can, for any language really, when you can learn enough that you can understand someone and respond. That like gives me a little bit of a rush. I love that. Um, yeah. So maybe we can get some feedback from you guys on, what makes you study Japanese. I know it's always good to like meet people when you study Japanese. That's always one of the big benefits. Yeah, it can be challenging. Thank you, Flavia. But that doesn't mean it's impossible. And I think we like it that we like to be challenged as people. It's one thing that drives us to expand our horizons, learn more, right? Because with video games, because that's what I do here. It's no one plays a video game that's too easy, right? Like no one plays tic-tac-toe anymore, even though you can win every time. You don't want to play it, or at least you can tie every time, whatever. but you get kind of bored of that, right? It's always fun when you have like when you've really earned that victory, and that's really what the challenge is. I know someone once told me they said people play games so they lose, and I think that's part of it. I think people play games when they know that winning is hard, and part of the reason you know winning is hard is when you do lose. Awesome. Like to hear that you like to be challenged. Very cool. All right, I see some people coming in. That's great. Welcome everybody. Welcome to the live stream. I guess we're at the official starting time, but we're going to give people a few more minutes to join in. I know we're all in different time zones and it's different times of the day for everybody, so we're just going to, let people come in whenever they're ready. And I'm getting something from Facebook. I got Thomas. Bonjour Thomas. Comment allez-vous? I know a little bit of French. I'm working on it. Um, Thomas says he wants to work in Japan for part of his life, and it's fun to learn a language very different from French. Yes, yes, Japanese and French are very different. I know I've studied French on Duolingo, and it uses a different part of my brain than Japanese. But they're both really fun to say. I remember the first time I was in France, I was on my way to India, and I had a layover at Charles de Gaulle Airport in Paris, and I just said to the shuttle driver, I said bonjour, and I felt so cool. I felt so cool saying that. Again, yeah, just learning a language is just it's just so fun to when you're able to communicate with someone. And you have this because before you know the language, it feels like there's a divide. It almost feels like you're talking to each other from across like the Grand Canyon. And as you learn more and more, it kind of brings it together. And that's really what I like about language is it brings people closer together. And we feel like there's less strangers in the world and more, future friends. That's how I like to look at it. All right. All right, and then we got Afro Dolor in Scotland saying, grew up watching anime and then started appreciating more of the art and folklore. I love that. And he loved the stories of the myths of Shinto and fell in love with the learning itself. Ah, love that. Yeah, yeah. I grew up more with the video games. I was a Nintendo kid, and it was always like, wow, Japan, what is that? Like what's going on over there? And then I just kind of randomly kind of fell into the language. And yeah, then to see anime and stuff, I do have some anime that are really like heart touching. They're really heartwarming. But sometimes, they can really tug on your heartstrings, make you sad too. But it's really powerful, is what I want to get across. All right. Hello, Papo. Thank you for the wave. All right, we gotta let's see here. I'm checking the comments. And all right. So we'll wait till about 5 after and get started here. We'll probably get some people coming in a little late, so we'll take it a little slow just so people don't have to miss anything. Mariana says, Kurosawa's films piqued my interest in the culture a while ago, and the Ryuga Gotoku series brought it back. Interesting. Anyway, I have hopes it'll help me with my line of work in the future. It will, I bet. It's helped me in my line of work. I've had different lines of work, but I do this on the side. I have a day job, which is really interesting and challenging, but I do make time to for the app. This is my baby, and I like interacting with all you guys. And but what I'm saying is for my day job, yeah, it does help. Just meeting people at work. Sometimes you meet people from other countries, from Japan. Sometimes you have Japanese visitors that want to, maybe see your product, and speaking to them in Japanese just it opens doors for you. And not only does it help you work with your clientele, it also makes your bosses say, "Hey, what's this guy doing here? This guy's something else. This guy's a future star," and that's a great feeling to have. People love it when you can speak Japanese like that. All right, thank you guys so much for these comments. Appreciate you being patient waiting here. We're gonna get started. Just gonna check one more time if there's any last minute comments first. Looks like we're up to date with all that. So cool. We say we got France, we got Scotland, we got Brazil in the house, we got Los Angeles. This is exciting. All right, so we're going to start the slideshow here. Just kind of give you an introduction to the app, who I am. So welcome. My name is Rajay Kumar. Some people call me Dr. Rajay Kumar, but I'm not a medical doctor. I have a PhD in electrical engineering, but that's for another time. But welcome. Yokoso. Konnichiwa. O genki desu ka? Welcome to the Kanji Drop streaming app. I won't speak in all Japanese, don't worry. But this is the live stream Q&A. So I wanted to interact with you guys, my users. I've had this app out for a couple of years now, and I haven't really done this before where I talk to the people that use the app. It's kind of been like through different layers. People talk to me through an email they might send me or through a comment. So that's kind of how I've been interacting. So this is a new, kind of a new thing for me. And part of the reason for doing this is, yeah, just I want to know what you're thinking, you know, where you're coming from. How does this app help you? How can it help you better? Things like that. So let's get started. So we're going to talk, this is kind of what we're going to talk about today, kind of how it began, how where Kanji Drop came from. We're going to talk a bit about strategies for learning Japanese. I know I use different ways to learn it. Excuse me. And then a bit more about the game. There's some stuff in the game that maybe you don't realize that there's some features that you may be interested in, but you just haven't seen them yet. And we'll get into that. And I'll talk a bit about some stories from users I've collected in the past. Some are really interesting. Some have taken me virtually, even before this whole like remote socialization regime that we're in right now. I've been to some interesting places on the world just through video chats, and I had no idea that people in these parts of the world use my app. So I'll talk about that, and I'll talk a bit about news because this isn't the only thing I'm going to work on. I have other ideas for learning languages, and I'll talk a bit about that aspect of it. All right, let's go to the next slide here. So yeah, a bit about me. Like I said, Rajay Kumar is my name. I grew up in Orange County and grew up playing a lot of Japanese video games, watching a little bit of anime. When I was a bit younger, there wasn't a lot on TV, so I didn't get a lot of it. But a lot of the cartoons I would see, regardless, were still animated in Japan and had references to Japanese culture in them. But I grew up, being pretty monolingual. I took Spanish in high school and a little bit in middle school. Because that's kind of what people deal with out here. It's just, you speak Spanish. That happens a lot. And I actually look like I'm Latino, and people will come up to me and speak Spanish anyway. And it's totally cool. I love it. I kind of feel like I'm a cultural chameleon. And it feels nice because I feel like I can learn about other cultures kind of more from a more personal aspect. But yeah, I didn't learn any Japanese growing up. In fact, when I was in college, I would see signs that were in Japanese or even Chinese, and I'd be like, how can anyone learn all these characters? I really thought that. I just thought it was just like impossible. Like, that's just not me. I'm never going to learn this stuff. And what happened was one summer while I was in college, my oldest brother, he went to Japan to teach English, and he was gone that whole summer. And I really missed him, of course, but he had a good time out there. The next summer, though, summer of 2001, he came back. He's like, hey, or he was there that summer. He's like, hey, why don't we take a Japanese class? And I was like, yeah, why not? What's stopping me? Because it was summertime. And I kind of knew that, me and my brothers were growing up, and we wouldn't always have this time together, being young and being able to hang out. So it was funny because during the day I would work with one of my brothers, and I had like my internship, and then at the evening he would drop me off and I'd meet my other brother, and we would take a Japanese class at Orange Coast College in Costa Mesa in Orange County, and it was great. Because first I went in just having zero expectation. I'm like, I'll get like a C and I'll be done. But I really just learned to love the language, and I ended up doing really well in that class. And I was just like, I really want to learn this. This is fun. And it wasn't really like I came in with like, oh, I need to learn this because of this reason or that reason. It was kind of like it seemed fun to me. And I know that some of you have said like Afro Dolor. in Scotland there said that he kind of fell in love with learning itself. Yeah, that's kind of what happened to me. I really relate to that. Um, and so I got into grad school at University of Southern California here in Los Angeles, and I was like, why don't I take more Japanese classes? So I kind of went to the Japanese department, like, hey, I already have Japanese 1. Do you need my transcripts? How does it work? They're like, just, you're in Japanese 2. Don't worry about it. They didn't even bother. And I was like, really? Like, yeah, you're not taking it for like to graduate. You're already in grad school. You're doing something totally different. I was like, cool. So I was a graduate student with all these undergrads taking this class. There's a few grad students there, but I took like another, I think, 5 semesters of Japanese, and I just really had fun. I even made a video with some of my classmates. It's a Yakuza film. So if you're really interested, I can send you the link. Um, it's it got a little bit of violence, but it's not bloody or anything. But it was really fun to make. It's all in Japanese. I played the lead role in it. It's about 20 minutes. It's a short film. So that was really fun. Um, but I've been to Japan 4 times, a total of 4 times. So haven't moved there, but who knows what the future will be, especially now, right? But if you guys are interested, let me know in the chat. I can talk a bit about what I've learned about moving to Japan. I haven't done it personally, so I can't give you a lot of information, but I have done some research on it for this presentation. So if you're really interested, let me know, and we'll talk about it. So yeah, and a little bit more about my background. Like my parents are pretty multilingual, so learning languages kind of runs in the family a little bit. I think my mom speaks like 7 languages though. A lot of them are Indic languages. For those that don't know, India has a lot of languages. It's almost like that's why they call it a subcontinent, because every state in India is almost like a separate country in Europe in terms of its um, diversity, and not just of like ethnic diversity, but also linguistic diversity and things like that. People in almost every state has its own language, which is crazy to me, but that's just how it is out there. So my mom kind of had to learn all these, and my dad too, to just talk to people. You pick up these other languages. But what's interesting, a lot of people don't know this, but the most common language in India is English. So my parents are from different parts of India. They speak English to each other more than Hindi, which is kind of the national language of India. All right, and then yeah, so to pick up where I was before, I learned some Japanese, and I got into coding. I wasn't really a coder as an undergrad or anything, but I knew one day I would get back into it. And then back about, I think, 2009, I really got back into software development. I was doing a little bit here and there, but then I really realized, okay, I can make an idea, a project. And I mentioned I was in grad school learning Japanese, and while I was there, I kind of said, there's got to be a better way to learn kanji, because it felt like a video game to me. Like it felt like there's something common, like on a very deep level with video games. And I thought I could make something interesting, and I actually made an app called just Congenius that some of you may have played. It came before Kanji dropped. It was kind of my first, foray into making apps and games, but it didn't really get across what I wanted. But it was just kind of how I started. And so as I was making that game, I was thinking, I can make a different game. I had all these ideas for other games, and I remember I had a friend around, and I was just, it just came to me, like I just had this image in my head of like a kanji kind of blowing up, like in a cartoon video game style. And I was like, what is that? I felt like I just kind of hit on something. And I kind of thought about it more. I'm like, what if I made like a falling block puzzle where you kind of make words and they blow up? And I was like, that'd be really cool. And I thought, but I also want the kanji to come together and make new kanji, but then you don't want those to blow up. So I kind of played around a bit and went back and forth. I'm like, oh, what if we have this meter and it fills up and then it starts blowing up kanji? That way, I want to reward people for making new kanji and also for making words. And that way, both ways, you'll keep the bar, you'll keep the kanji from reaching the top. So it kind of evolved over time. Some people have said, hey, this is like some other game I've played, and I honestly had not played any other kanji falling block puzzles before. I only found out after the fact when people brought to my attention that these other ones were out there. So then I was like, oh, okay. I remember learning about something like that. It's called independent invention. It just means people came up with the same idea independently. And that happens. I mean, look at the telephone, right? Alexander Graham Bell got his patented like like an hour before this other guy, Gray, I believe he was his name. So this has happened in history a lot. Yeah, and I believe one of them was Jukugan, which was on the Sega Genesis back in the day. So anyway, yeah, I came up with kind of my own idea, which is very similar to these other games out there. Um, and I started doing solo development. So I did the front end, the back end, all that on my own. I started using Unity, and what was cool about that is that it actually got me jobs being a professional Unity developer. So I kind of alluded that I had all these kind of jobs in the past. I worked in originally in nanotechnology, of all things, doing kind of like almost chemistry research and working in the laboratory, which was okay, except for the times where the chemicals smelled like rotting fish and it was like really hot. Those were not fun. Also, a lot of equipment breaking was not good because there's always like an electrocution hazard, which almost happened once. I was safe, but it got kind of close. So I'm kind of glad to not be in those dangerous situations, but I'm some of the fun is the adventure is a little missing, but that's okay. I can do without it. I also worked in fields like augmented reality. I worked in virtual reality a bit. I worked in a new field called holography, which is like making new kinds of displays, things of that nature. Now I do a full-time Unity job, which was something I kind of had in the past, but then I got kind of pushed into the electrical engineering side. But now I'm a full-time Unity developer during the day. Then I come home at night and work on Kanji Drop, also in Unity. So I'm just Unity all day long, and I love it. Because to me, making apps is kind of like playing video games. It kind of fills that same void in my life because I'm always like solving a puzzle, trying to get like this feature to work and make it work faster. And I know like I've got a lot of cool comments from you guys about how this can be improved, that can be improved, and it's like that's great, yeah. I'm trying my best here, but I'll keep trying to improve it as I go along, but also make other apps when I can. And my goal is to make this like a full-time job where I can make apps all day long and have because I have a lot of ideas, some involving virtual reality, some not. So I just want to make a lot of fun stuff. Oh, Sahaj Balgunde says, "Korewa, I think subarashi desu ne." Thank you. I think this is very interesting, very exciting. So I appreciate that. Oh, and I also want to add that along the way, my friends and family have been very, very supportive. Just talking, mentioning my app on other sites and stuff like that, just getting the name out there. And I know I said it's a solo project here, but I do have a team now, a bit of a team. I have two moderators helping me out, Flavia and Adam, and thank you guys so much. You're part of the experience. I do all the software development myself, but they help me out with some of the other stuff where my brain isn't really there. You ever heard the phrase like, not everyone's good at everything, but if you judge a fish by its ability to ride a bicycle, you're gonna be very disappointed. When it comes to like marketing and all that stuff, I'm kind of a fish on a bicycle, but Flavia is an expert. Thank you so much. And Adam has such a great mind when it comes to like technology that he gives me these insights I didn't think of. He's such a great perspective. So thank you guys so much. Um, and also my family, they really support me on this. They really always want to hear like what's the latest with this, what's going on. So that's a bit about me. You can always ask me questions in the chat. I know some of you are already writing in there, so thank you for that. All right, onward. So I want to talk a bit about learning Japanese. Now I know Kanji Drop is there, and a lot of people always ask, hey, why can't I learn hiragana, katakana with this? And for those that are new to Japanese, hiragana, katakana are these extra alphabets in Japanese that are used for pronouncing the Japanese words. So the characters for hiragana and katakana, um, they don't actually have a meaning associated with them, but they just give a pronunciation. And the katakana in particular is used for foreign words. So when people are going to Japan, I recommend that, hey, spend a couple weeks learning katakana. That way, you will be able to read signs for like Starbucks or other things like that, which kind of translate more easily into English. And yeah, it kind of helps if you know English to begin with. I know a lot of people from Brazil, so I appreciate you putting up with my English. I don't know any Portuguese, sadly. I wish I did. Oh, we got a comment from Sahaj Balgunde. What inspired you to make Kanji Drop? Good question. I'll get into it a bit later too, but what inspires me to make games in general is I want to blur that line between an educational game, education and gaming. I feel like growing up, there were games that were games that kind of had the education, I call it stapled on. I remember playing, I got a game when I was a kid it was a cool gift. It was a chemistry learning kind of quiz game, and it would ask you questions about chemistry. And then if you got enough right, it would let you play this little fun maze game. And I felt like the game was kind of stapled on. It was just not really integrated into the gameplay. And I wanted to make games where the learning kind of becomes part of the gameplay, and it's not really the end goal of the game per se, but it helps you get there. I know with Kanji Drop, for example, the goal is to not let the blocks reach the top, and the more Japanese you learn, it helps you achieve that goal. But the goal isn't to make you, learn Japanese and quiz you on it. There's quizzes that do that. So I figured this way it'll be more fun, and it'll inspire you to kind of make more of an effort on your own to learn the Japanese, and especially the kanji. So thank you for the comments. Okay, another one about JLPT N2. Yeah, Sahaj, yeah. There is a way to actually, in Kanji Drop, to adjust it so you're only learning Japanese in preparation for one of the JLPT exams. And for those that don't know, JLPT is the Japanese Language Proficiency Test. And there's 5 levels now. There used to be 4. And they actually go, JLPT 1 is the hardest, not the easiest. And it's a little interesting that way, right? So 5 is the easiest, and then it gets harder until you get to 1. And 1 is like, if you pass that, you can get a job in Japan very easily. And I know from the immigration websites for Japan, one way to get a job in Japan easily is to have JLPT 1 passed. And in Kanji Drop, yeah, you can adjust it so you're only learning kanji from JLPT 1 or 2. And onyomi, kunyomi, the app actually has onyomi and kunyomi in it. You can decide to only learn one or the other if you like. That's all in the settings menu. You can decide which one you want to learn. But the best way to learn onyomi and kunyomi is actually to learn the words. And that's what I've done with Kanji Drop is like your goal should be to learn these words. That's why the bonus words are there actually. The bonus words kind of focus your learning on, maybe in that session you'll learn that one word. And if you learn those words, you'll kind of go backward, and you'll kind of, I call it back propagate, and you'll learn the kanji from that as well. And that's kind of where you're going to learn to pick up the onyomi and kunyomi the best, because then you're going to kind of see, oh, in this word it's going to have this pronunciation. And those that don't know, onyomi and kunyomi are like the, I hope I didn't mix it up, but one is like the Japanese pronunciation, and one is kind of a borrowed pronunciation from Chinese. So I'm actually learning Chinese now. And so, for example, there's a word in Japanese, genzai, which means right now. And in Chinese, it's pronounced shenzai. So it's very similar, right? Very similar. And if you learn, I believe, the onyomi, you're going to kind of, Chinese will make a little bit more sense. It won't let you learn Chinese because the sounds get a bit, there's not always that direct connection between them, but it'll help out. And Afro Dolor, you said that, and Carta 95 is the OG educational game. Cannot disagree, man. Though those that want to go even farther back, you can go back to Donkey Kong Math. And my brother's in the chat. Hey, he might remember that when I was like a little kid, like I was 5 years old, we had like an Apple II at our home. This is back in 1985. I'm a bit up there. But I would learn my ABCs from Sticky Bear ABCs, and also a game called Piccadilly Pair. So I was learning, with computer games from when I was a little kid. So it always inspired me, right? Cool, thank you, Sahaj and Prashant. I appreciate your comments. So yeah, let me go back to learning Japanese. So like I was saying, Kanji Drop will help you learn kanji. There's a lot of apps out there, honestly, to learn hiragana and katakana. You can even learn them in Duolingo. And in Kanji Drop, there is a little reference tab to learn katakana and hiragana. I wouldn't say learn per se, but it's just there. The reason I didn't focus on it is because, yeah, one, there's a lot of apps out there, and I feel like, if you really work hard, you can learn hiragana and katakana probably in about 2 weeks at minimum, I'd say. Maybe 4 weeks on average. But you don't need to spend a lot of time learning it, I'd say. It can come to you with a bit of drilling. And other apps will get you there, and then, once you get there with those apps, you'll probably spend about a month on it maybe, and then that's it. So I wanted to focus on kanji so that you can expand your kanji, because kanji, you can spend your whole life learning it. And if you talk to native Japanese speakers, they will talk about how they kind of forget the kanji over time. Like a lot of people can't even write them anymore. Um, so that's a little sad, but it makes sense. We type everything out now, and it makes it really easy. I do that too. I don't write much Japanese these days, though I do keep a journal, and I do use the Japanese shorthand for the dates when I write in there, so I do keep it up a little bit that way. So yeah, I recommend apps like Duolingo or Lingodeer. They're really good for learning Japanese, especially in context, like in sentences. And that's where where you always want to keep your eyes focused. Is like I want to learn how to speak sentences. And think of it like you can learn a kanji, you can learn a word, you can learn a sentence, you can learn or a phrase for a sentence, and you can learn like a paragraph. If you think of it in that way, that's like a forward propagation. But you can always go backwards. And what I mean by that is if you're reading like a sentence, you can always go break down the words and then break it down into words and look up the words and look up the kanji. And I really feel like if you go this backwards forwards motion with your learning, whenever it feels appropriate for you, you're going to really start to hit home what all these things mean. You're going to really create what I call a tight network of learning. And I can talk a bit about that. So my way of learning is that you learn new things more easily when you tie them back to other things you've learned, like in a web. And so if you kind of see a word by itself, you may not learn it very well the first time. But if you tie it back, like, oh, I know what the kanji mean for this word, and I know that the kanji together means something. Like I said, genzai before. The gen part means to see, I believe, and the zai part means like this, like now. So it makes it mean like right now. So if you can break it into its parts, it'll make a lot more sense. So think about it that way, and I think that'll help with the learning. So to sum that up, I would say that Kanji Drop is going to be part of your complete breakfast, as you say out here. It's going to be part of a group of apps you're going to use to learn Japanese very well. And yeah, thank you, Afro Dolores, saying it's a building block nature of the game. So think of it this way: you don't watch just one anime, you don't talk to one person. Why should you use only one app? And it's really good to diversify in a lot of things in life. You want to always try different things and see if you can use your apps in interesting ways. So I kind of made a Kanji Drop in a way where you can import your own study list and learn it that way. So you might have a study list from Anki, you might have it from Memrise, you might have it from Wanikani. You can get all of those and you can import them into Kanji Drop. And then you can start having the kanji from those words be the only things you focus on as you play. And we got a question here from Prashant Singh. How organic was learning Japanese for you? And how long did it take you? Did immersion help you out? Immersion helped me out 100%. And oh yeah, I want to talk about another app called Hello Talk. And by the way, I don't get any kickback from these apps. I just think they're really useful. Hello is one that I want to use more. I'm starting to get into it now. But you can talk one-on-one with a Japanese speaker, and they may want to learn your language, especially English. And it's a way for you to kind of do a one-on-one exchange. But I said earlier that I started taking Japanese, had one semester at the end of the summer of 2001. And then all of a sudden I'm like, I hear I'm going to go to Japan in December of 2001. So I had one semester, so I barely knew anything. And I was staying with a family at the time. And, excuse me, need some water. Omizu is a word for water. So I was staying with a family at the time, and I kind of had to like really strain my brain to use all the Japanese I had in my head to make basic sentences together, and it really forced me to think about it more. And I know with apps, including mine, you'll kind of have the app there. You won't have to like think on your feet as much because you're kind of just seeing what's presented in front of you. But there'll be times where you're just going to get a random question. That's what's going to happen. So it's good to, what I say is fail early, fail off. And I have that message in my app as well. And put yourself in a position where you don't know what you're doing, honestly. I've done that with everything. With making this app, like I said, I didn't come from an app design background. With learning Japanese, I didn't come from a strong linguistics background growing up. My native language is just English. Like that was it. spoke a little bit of Hindi when I was really young, but I lost it all. I'm learning it again now. But you want to get that point where you hit your wall. You realize, oh, I don't know this, and that's a good motivator, and it highlights where you need to focus on, and be sensitive to those little signals, as I call them, in life, because those will really get you to the next level. And so sometimes you got to put yourself in a position where you realize how much you don't know, and it's scary. It really is. It can be a bit of a pain to the ego. But one thing I learned in life, my brothers and I talk about this quite a bit, is that the position of comfort is the position of what we call deformity. And what that means is we heard the story about this guy that broke his arm, and he didn't get it in a cast. You're supposed to do that. And what happens when you don't get it in a cast is you lose motion. You cannot move it as much anymore, and it's stuck like that. And that's what happens when you're too comfortable in life. You don't have that challenge to learn more, and you're going to get stuck. And it's going to be really hard to get out of that. You're going to be think you're in a groove, but you're really in a rut. You don't want to be in that position in life, and it's hard. But the best thing to do, the easiest thing to get out of it, is to realize you're in it. And so sometimes it's good to stop and be like, okay, I feel good about what I've learned. Never feel bad about what you've learned. Always think of it as like building, right? So this is where it's kind of hard to balance the two, but this is something I've dealt with myself. You have to understand there's more to go, but don't focus on that. Focus on what you've built, right? If you look at, if you're building a house brick by brick, and you focus on, oh my God, I have to lay like so many bricks to build this house, yeah, it'll look impossible, but obviously there's houses that are built, so it's not impossible. And as long as you make that progress a little bit every day, learn one word, learn one kanji, play for 5 minutes, play for 1 minute even. Look up some of the just words in the dictionary built into kanji drop. That will get you somewhere. It really will. And so that's a long way to answer the question of Prashant, but the organic part is not magic. It does take effort. Some people, they have a gift. Awesome. Most people don't. I'm included in that. And so it's about just kind of learning it a little bit, even as one thing a day. Maybe you'll do that one thing a day for, one word, one sentence. You'll learn that for like a couple weeks. And then at one point, you'll be like, I'm going to learn 2 things today. And you'll build on that. And it's important to just kind of like ask yourself later in the day, as you're learning in the morning, then it's evening time. It's like, what was that word I learned this morning? What was that? Oh yeah, genzai. It means right now. And you're going to force yourself to like remember it. And that is part of that web I talked about earlier, where now you're making these connections to it. And you want to get to a point also where you're not just learning the words, by themselves, but you're kind of incorporating it into something. And this could be like, maybe you learned a word from an anime, and you like that anime a lot. You're going to watch it over and over again. I have a favorite movie called Sneakers. I got a Japanese DVD of it just because it had the Japanese subtitles and the Japanese dub. And I picked that movie because I love that movie. And I knew that if I could learn some of those lines from it, I'd learn like one of my favorite lines from that movie in a new language, and I could repeat that to myself. So that part, it can be really fun. So it's good to add all this stuff together. All right. All right. So we're going to speed up a little bit because I've been talking a lot. And so I want to talk a bit about where Japanese is spoken around the world. So we got Japan, obviously has most of the world's speakers. But we got 125 million speakers of Japanese. That's amazing to me. And Japan is the world's 3rd largest economy, or is it 4th? It's up there, right? Top 5. So it's always a good idea to know it, right? It'll help you almost in every field you go into. It'll be there. And look at that, Brazil, 0.4%. So 844,000 speakers of Japanese in Brazil. Bravo, that's amazing. And here in the United States, not as many, 656,000, but still pretty good. And we also got Guam that has about 3,000, but that's 2% of their population, so good on them, right? All right, and we can thank Flavia for that. We got a question in the chat here. Did you find learning Japanese harder because of how polite Japanese people are? Like in France, you're going to get corrected 12 times harshly. Persistence, not so much in Japan, I hear. it can be difficult. It's important to kind of get some close friends that you can be very frank with. You will get a lot of Nihongo jozu, and that's kind of their nice way of saying, oh, you're learning Japanese, cool, keep it up. Um, Sometimes I'll speak in Japanese, and no matter how good it gets, this happens to everybody, no matter how fluent they are, they'll speak in like, you can speak in perfect Japanese, even with no accent, and people will be like, and they'll respond to you in English. It's like, come on, I'm really trying here. So it's good to kind of make some friends out there, and these apps like Hello Talk are good for that, and just be upfront with them, and be like, I like how you're polite, I love that part of your culture, but I need to really improve my Japanese, so if anything is wrong, you got to let me know. And that will always be helpful. And sometimes they'll want to learn that about their English, and I'm a bit of a stickler for English, so sometimes I have friends that are learning it, or it's like their second language, and I'm like, hey, it's actually this, not that. I hope you don't mind me saying it. And they're like, no, please, thank you for letting me know. And as long as you're open, they'll be open, right? So, great point, Afro Dolor. All right, so I asked a bit about this in the chat before, but I want to know your biggest motivations on learning Japanese, right? If you have tips for it, please share it in the chat. I'll read some of them out. Won't get a chance to get to all of them, I think. And yeah, would you be interested in language exchanges with native speakers? Is that something that maybe I can look into? I know I've talked about Hello Talk. That might cover what you need, but um, there are a lot of native speakers out here, and maybe we can have some sort of Zoom call or something at some point where we talk with a native speaker, and it can be all of us users in Kanji drop. So yeah, write that in the chat right now, and we'll talk about that. And Renato Vargas, you talked about what's the name of the movie? It was called Sneakers, Sneakers. That's just my favorite movie. It's not really has nothing to do with Japan in it. But find something you like. An anime. Full Metal Alchemist is a good one, of course, right? That's a classic one. Or in Japanese, Hagane no Renku, Hagane no Renki Jutsushi. There's one that's called it's called Here and There Now and Then. Ima Soko ni Iru Boku. That one, be prepared for that one. That one is a real gut wrencher. You're going to be really sad from that one. There's also some really great ones. Any Miyazaki film is great, right? Tokyo Godfathers is good. And there's live action films as well. Uchoten Hotel is one I used to watch. I also used to watch these Japanese serials with my brother. One was called Oyaji. We really like that. It's really old now. Giri Haji was one that was on Netflix that a lot of my Japanese learning friends watched. So a lot of stuff out there. Yeah, all right. And Afro Dolor just says, my best tip, explain what you just learned to someone else. It really helps cement the knowledge. It totally does. Yeah, so it's good to have groups of friends that you can learn the language with. All right, so a bit about the game that, little features that you may not be aware of that I want to just highlight. So yeah, the favorites list is a good one. A lot of people don't know that you can import in there. It's kind of a paid feature, and there's a discount right now, but if you can use the favorites list anytime you want, but to get the kanji to be drawn from your favorites list, you'll need to just buy anything in the store, and it'll be unlocked forever. I don't do subscriptions. I hope I don't need to ever, but it's just a way to keep those kanji, in the game. And you can always, make a list of kanji and words. Just make sure the words are on separate lines, but the kanji could be any block of text. It'll just extract the kanji from there. You don't need to go and format it or anything. If you do, it's fine. It'll make it a little faster. And then there's example sentences. That links to Kanji Kohi. Great website. It has a lot of user-submitted, sentences, and they're translated. You can click on the words in there, and those are the sentences that you want to learn. So if you see a word and you're like, what is this word? What does it really mean? You'll see it in one of those sentences. So I really recommend Kanji Kohi. I'm not affiliated with that website, but I do link to them, and it's really good. And in general, if you're just new to it and you're just like, I don't know where to begin, it happens. It's okay. Just focus on those bonus words, and you will just have one word that you'll focus on for that day, and that'll be the word that you're going to remember. And like we heard from Afro Dolor, explain to someone else. Be like, hey, significant other, friend, I learned this word today. And then try to get them to say it, even if they're not learning Japanese. and then you'll have it in your head that they're saying it. Like I have a friend, I taught him one word. It was like mochiron, which means of course. And now every time I talk to him, he'll be like mochiron, of course. So it makes me laugh, but I will not forget that word now. Handwriting is good. I have a in the app. It doesn't work when you're offline, sadly, but you will have the animated GIFs that will show you how to write the kanji, and that's a great way to have it hit home. Um, it's just good practice to kind of learn the stroke order, and after you do a couple of them, you start to get the idea of how to write the Japanese in the right order, because that does matter. All right, let's continue on, and we're gonna do a little bit of the gameplay. You've probably all seen this. And this is kind of, you'll probably notice that it's a bit different now. But yeah, let me just skip ahead a little bit here. Let me see, because you've all probably seen this. But yeah, I want to show you that. Okay, this has actually changed a bit too. It's the let me just pause it here. Ah, sorry about that. Okay. Um, I'll show you in another place later, but actually in the settings menu, a lot of people were asking like, oh, it's too fast. How do I slow it down? And you can actually slow it down in this menu. You won't see it on here, but I'll show you a bit later. And you can even do things like put it into dark mode, which people, I think, really like. I've seen people make YouTube videos about kanji drop, and with dark mode, it makes it easier to see. Um, all right, let me see. I think I have some questions here real quick. All right, so we got Laosha Quates. Sorry if I mispronounced that. Let me see here. Okay, she says that she noticed matching blocks make kanji range from JLPT 5 to 1. Does this mean the app is more to reinforce kanji learned? Also, do you suggest learning from the Joyo level or use the JLPT system? Also, I missed it, but are there any anime you recommend for Keigo vocabulary? Oh, great questions. Um, so the app is kind of for both. I made the app kind of for anyone learning Japanese. You can always adjust the things within the app to be what you like. Like if you put it to JLPT 1 mode, then you're going to get really advanced kanji. And if you also use kanji that you've learned from like the learning list and you paste it in and import it, then you can focus on that. But if you're new to the language, you'll get words and kanji given to you that you haven't seen before. And as for Joyo or JLPT, so Joyo is basically the kanji that are accepted for use in everyday publications like newspapers, and that's set by a committee in Japan. The JLPT system kind of tests your knowledge of characters. It really depends on what you want to do. I think JLPT is good for starters because it's a smaller list. And you can always set it to JLPT 5 or 4 mode if you're new to it and you're kind of like seeing kanji, too complex of kanji come in. You want to spend more time on the basics. That's a good place to start. So you can decide on your own. Though, let's see. Kanji drop is meant, to learn all the Joyo kanji because I wanted to cast a wide net and make sure we got everyone in there. So, and your question is are there any anime recommended for Keigo? Keigo is the polite form of Japanese, and it's a way to kind of speak to like people in business or to people at an establishment like a corporation. So, trying to think. I can't think of one off the top of my head. I believe, Full Metal Alchemist has a bit of that because you have the people talking to each other and talking to their bosses and stuff like that. Yeah, that's a good question. I'll have to do some research on it and get back to you. All right, so on the main screen here, I got some of the kanji blocks here. So I came up with this way to kind of take all the information about a kanji and put it into one compact form. I'll get into a more interactive form of that later. And then we got the learning list here. Some people were asking about, I don't want to have this kanji included right now or that one. And in here, you can go and suspend kanji and say, I don't want to see this for a couple days, and you can exclude it from the game. That way you don't learn it for a while. And that was actually user recommendation. I added that. And also see at the top which kanji you want to learn. You can even learn from textbooks, as well as the JLPT levels. And then here's the store, and we have a sale right now. There's a discount, so you can always go into there. And also, I like this part. This is like the power-up trophy. So this shows the different power-ups you've unlocked and used in the game. So you know, it's like that gotta catch 'em all mentality. So maybe you'll get all the power-ups in the game. Almost all of them do something different. There's a few that do the same thing, but some might be surprised. You might not know that they're there. Some do things that you will not get from the in-store purchases. So there's some hidden gems out there. So take a look at that. All right, let's go to the next slide here. And I want to talk a little bit about the user stories. I know we're getting a little short on time, and I want to get to the drawing too. But I alluded to this in the beginning, but there was a guy when I started making apps. He was a Buddhist monk in Thailand. Sorry, in Myanmar, formerly known as Burma. And he actually showed me on video his monastery, and he gave me like a little video tour. So I got to see like the head monk, and he was showing this head monk the app, and the guy was really happy with it. And these guys didn't really speak much English, and I was just like, oh my gosh, I can't believe this is happening. So that was really cool. I had one guy that passed the JLPT1. He said, hey, Kanji drop helped me pass it. So I was really glad to hear that. I had people that have helped volunteer with translation for Russian. I got Guillermo helping me out for Portuguese. Flavia's helped me as well. Um, so some people helped me with Spanish. My family's helped me with that. My brother's wife has helped me a lot with that. So I'm really grateful for that because that really shows you this is really impacting people. And when I set out to make this app, I had no connections to the game industry. I still don't really. And so I was just kind of like, let me see what I can do. And now it's starting to like pick up the steam. So it's really like mind blowing for me to see this. And I hope you guys can understand that, if you really work on something and, really, listen to people that are using it, it'll just get better and better. And I thank you guys for helping me do the same. So, yeah, just, keep working on whatever you are and you'll go far. That's how it is in life. All right. So new product. So I am currently working on Chinese drop, as you may have guessed, and I'm going to make this game expand into Chinese. I've had people ask about Korean. That's something I'm still thinking about. It's a little different of a language. It doesn't have as many unique characters. It's more of a composite language, but I'm still thinking about it. But I'm making Chinese drop. That requires a bit more reworking on the lower level, so I'm still working on that stuff. And then another big news thing I've talked about this is that we have the sale going on, and that really helped me out. Like I said, I don't do this full time. I actually don't really even make money on this app. I actually kind of lose a little bit every month. But I don't mind. This is my baby. I like helping you guys out, and I'm glad to hear that you guys are doing well. I don't use Patreon. I don't have Indiegogo. I don't ask for crowdfunding. Part of it is because I'm still working on it, but also, I feel like with those apps, you don't really get a lot of money for what you've done. I try to compensate people for what they've done. If you put time or effort in, I'll pay you. At least I'll try. Sometimes people are very modest and they don't accept it. But I kind of hope that you guys can look at the App Store as kind of like this way to help fund the app, because that's what it really does. This doesn't go to a big corporation. I'm not a big game studio. I'm just one guy doing all the development. And if I could do this full time, I have a lot of ideas. And if you want to see these apps, more of these types of apps, that's one way to do it. Still, I'm going to work on it either way. It'll just be a little slower the way it is now. And maybe one day we'll do a Patreon. If you guys think that's a good idea, let me know in the chat. If you think it's a bad idea, let me know. I'm on the fence, honestly. I could go either way, but I kind of like the idea that if I'm going to ask for money, you're going to get something for it. You're going to get no ads, and you're going to get all these unlocked features in Kanji drop. And right now, it's really cheap to do it, at least relatively. So it's funny like how our mentality is when it comes to apps. I'm the same way. We kind of are like, I don't get to hold anything, so why should I pay for it? It's about the labor involved, really. It's kind of like a video game cartridge, right? We used to say, oh, this thing is just like $5 of plastic, and the chip is like $2. And it's like, yeah, but you spend $40 on those old game cartridges because the people that had to design all that stuff need to get paid, right? And it's like with anything you buy, you have to take into consideration like all the different aspects of that business model. And even though it's just me, I did put in a lot of time into this, and hope you realize that. I'm always putting in more, always coming with new releases. So when people buy something in the app, it's like a confirmation that this is really working, and people want to see more of this and want to see more innovations. And yeah, I'll do that. So keep your eyes on the news, and of course, stay safe. I know you're all at home, and this is a great time to learn a language. And with HelloTalk and other ways out there, you can learn a lot. So I hear about a subscription option. I did look into that. Maybe I will see what I can do for that. And oh yeah, one thing that Guillaume said was associating Kanji with images and stories is also good. So I'll talk a bit about that in a bit. All right. So drum roll, please. The winner of the $25 USD gift card is Esther Alves. Esther, are you here? If you're here, say hi in the chat. We'll see your name. If you're using a alias in the chat, let me know, but we'll keep an eye out for it. If you're here, we'll get another $5, give you up to 30. So thank you all for doing the drawing. I appreciate that. Sorry, doing the survey. Really, really appreciate that. So if Esther's here, she'll get another $5. Well, I'll try to do more of these, so don't feel like if you didn't make it, that's it. But we'll do some more of these later on. Maybe put in some more money in there. All right. So we'll see if Esther speaks up, and she'll get another $5. All right. So we've got questions. Feel free to ask any questions. Right now, I'm going to, though, change gears and open up a new window showing the IDE, sorry, the development version of Kanji Drop that I'm working on. And let me see if I can open that right now. 1 second. Excellent. Okay. All right. So we're going to transition to showing the Kanji Drop app. This is how I develop it. This is called Unity. It's a game engine, and that helps me to make the app. This is how I make it. But right now it's kind of in play mode, so you're seeing the app as I see it when I'm testing things out. And so I want to show you a few things. One is some people say, oh, the kanji, they disappear too quickly. Well, this slider up here, if you put it to easy mode, the slider is activated, and then this puts the time between kanji. So you can say I want up to 5 seconds between kanji. So I'll give you time to just have the game pause. Nothing will fall down. And you can go and read like the meaning and the reading. You can press the buttons and look up the little quizzes and information about that kanji. All right, other things I want to draw your attention to is, yeah, there's a dark mode. Some people like to play this at dark in bed, and at night in bed. So you want it to be dark so it doesn't strain your eyes. So I have that there. And if people like turn off the background image and find it distracting, I like the design. I like to keep it there. You can also set the speech order. A lot of people don't realize that. Some people care, some people don't, but just a way to set it to what you're used to, and always adjust the volumes independently that way. And you can even talk about, show how much kani or kana or romaji you want to show. Some people, they want to really challenge themselves. They don't want to show any romaji. Romaji is like the English language representation of Japanese. So for ka, they'll write ka, but the kana is like that hiragana katakana. And you can even adjust what is shown when you make a kanji. And here's more about the input and stuff like that. And you can also adjust, when you show like mini games and quizzes, how much you want to see that. Some people like it, some people might not like it. And these focused learning quizzes, some people just would rather just show the history. Every time I click on a kanji, just see what I've made, things like that. And if you don't want the tutorial, like you restart it, you can always turn it off there. And I also want to show you that if you go to the help menu, you might not have seen this before, but there's a list of hiragana katakana here. If you click on them, it'll speak it. You won't hear that now, but you can learn all the hiragana here if you like. You can use this as a reference guide. So, and it even learns like the compounds like Q and Shu, which are made of a big letter, a big character and a smaller one. And same goes for the katakana. And again, katakana is for the foreign words in Japanese. So think of words like Starbucks, which means Starbucks, or pasokon, which means personal computer. All right. So someone reading in the chat here, Nichijo has a great mix of Keigo and non-Keigo language. Used in funny ways, so it helps me remember. Oh, good to know, Nichijo. I'll have to check that out. And Afro Dolor, a subscription option. You would pay monthly. Oh, I appreciate that. I don't think a lot of people would, but I think just one app from a lot of people, or one purchase from a lot of people would help. If you want to just make a purchase every month, I would love that, Afro Dolor. But I can try to make that automated too, just so you can help support the app. So I really appreciate that. What's my favorite kanji? I will show you. Let's see if I can look it up here. And let me see. Electricity. I have it on my wall. There it is. Then um, maybe if we have time later, I can go. I actually have this hand drawn. I drew it myself when I was in Japan for my second trip to Japan. I've been 4 times total. I love this app. When I was my first time in Japan, I would see this in the eki, the train stations. Eki means station, and I would look at this app, and I knew it meant electricity. It just almost like it was very easy for me to figure out, and I liked it because when I first saw it, it was like, oh, it looks like power lines over an electrical grid, and I was like, whoa, that is so cool looking. And at the time, I was an electrical engineering major at MIT, and I was really into that as kind of like my symbol, right? Um, but if you look at the kanji, it has 2 parts. One means rain, and one means eel. And eel is kind of like a helper reminder. It's not an official meaning. It's just there to help you out. And we even have a story for it. A rainstorm and electric eel are a good way to generate electricity, right? So think of those things together. It's like, oh, and that's like how the story works, right? Um, and we can see all the different places it's worked. It even can mean lightning on its own. I think that's the old name because people weren't using electricity when they came up with Japanese. It's the character is older than the kind of the concept, right? And you can see all the words you can make from it. There aren't any kanji you can make from it, but whatever. Oh, one more thing I want to talk to you about is if you have a problem with a word or a kanji, please let me know. Just go to report a problem. It'll open up an email. You can send me a note and be like, hey, this was weird. This translation didn't make any sense to me. What's going on there? And I'll look it up and I can make a change in real time. I don't need to submit a new build. And also, if you want to make it favorite, just press that star there, right? And of course, you have the handwritten form right there. Also, in regard to news, I want to show you. This is for you non-native speakers, but I'll go to Portuguese because I have a lot of users in Brazil, and I love you all. I love all my users. Don't get me wrong. But I made it now so that if you go to a kanji, this is always at the bottom. Let's go to the top. And you want to learn its story. Now the story will be translated. Yay! So we have the translation here into Portuguese, and here's the original English. And if you have a problem with it, again, just go to here and report a problem with the kanji or the story. It'll be there. Some of the stories are from remembering the kanji. I don't have the book near me, but I have permission from the publishers of Heisig's Remembering the Kanji to use its content in this app. And so some of the stories in Kanji Drop come directly from that book. I have permission to use that. Some of them I added myself. You might notice there's a lot where I mentioned Homer Simpson. And that's because in Remembering the Kanji, they say that it's called an inben. It means the radical that corresponds to a human being. Think of a specific human being, not just a general concept of a human being. And that's a really good way to visualize. And it's always better to be specific when you do your visualizations. Like, for instance, I could have improved upon my story for the electricity kanji and thought about like a gigantic electric eel in the sky shooting lightning bolts down during a rainstorm, and like it has like rain coming out of its mouth or its eyes, it's crying on you, and now you're just like, whoa, like rain, water, electricity, eel, and you're going to put those pieces together. And what you'll find is over time, you won't even need to rely on that story anymore. You're just going to know that kanji, and that's kind of the magic of learning, right? Magic of being how we learn. So you're going to, at some point, realize, hey, wait a minute, I know this kanji, and I don't need the story to help me out. The story is kind of like a bridge to get you to where you need to be. And, oh yeah, and if there's a kanji that you want to, make the top of your list, like, oh, I got to learn this kanji because it's on my quiz, you can change its rank, and you make it like your #1 kanji, and it'll show up more often. And the way it works is in the learning, it's in, I got to fix some stuff here, but this is still a work in progress. I'm still working out some features for the new release. So I'm going to change all that overlap. Don't worry about that. But you'll see that these are the kanji in order of what you're going to learn, and the newest ones are at the top. So whenever you get a new kanji, it'll be one of the newer ones you'll get. And you can also, see all the words you can make with these kanji if you want to go through the whole list. and you can even see the bonus kanji that will get you an update. And notice that these two characters make these two different words, and whenever you learn, whenever you make a word, you don't need to include the hiragana, katakana. I know some people have asked, like, hey, can I make words using them? I thought about it. It'll make it a little bit more difficult, and it won't give you that much learning. I feel it'll make things a bit more. I think it'll kind of get in the way of learning after you learn all the kana. So I kind of left that out, and because I want to focus on the kanji. Because again, there's so many apps to learn hiragana, katakana, and I think you could probably learn it if you really try hard within like a couple of weeks even. Just practice every day, write down words, practicing hiragana, katakana. Like take a word, like sushi, and write it in hiragana. Or take a word like Starbucks, Starbucks, and write that in katakana. And just kind of think of these words and write them out. And you'll start to figure it out. And that's actually one place where quizzes might help, because there's only, I think, 48 distinct like characters for each one. Some of them you'll add little marks to them to make them look a little different, but if you know them those unique 48 for each hiragana and katakana, that's it. So that's like 96, not even 100. So it won't take you that long to learn, in my view. Right on. Okay, so we're near the end. Feel free to sign off. I appreciate you all being here. Thank you so much. You can, if you want to stick around and ask me some more questions, I'll be happy to answer them. If you want to see some aspects of Kanji Drop running while it's running, I can talk about that as well. So let me know. But thank you again so much. Not sure if we heard from Esther Alves, but congratulations, you're the winner. I'll be sending you the gift card later today. Yeah, appreciate you all being here. You guys made my day, because when I'm usually working on this, I'm just by myself, and I'm just kind of like tapping away. I usually have a movie running, because I like to code with like the TV or a movie on. It like makes coding fun, so it feels like a game for me. It's usually just on my own, and then when I first started, I was like, I don't know if anyone's gonna play this, and it turns out there's a lot of you playing it, so I'm happy about that. Really am. You guys are great, and want to say hi to Ayaka and Sanjay. Yeah, my niece. All right, so let's go. We're gonna go back to the slides here. All right, we'll go back to the final slide. Give me 1 second. All right, so we're going to look at the slides again. And we want to say thank you to all of you. Sorry I didn't have this up earlier. But follow us on social media. If you go to linktr.ee/RiotShieldGames, that's the name of the company, you'll find links there to follow me on Facebook and Twitter. We just kind of restarted the YouTube page, so this will be on there as well. You can add me there. For those that are still there, do you want to know why I have the name Riot Shield Games? Anyone care? Doesn't matter, I'll tell you. One of my favorite anime is, the Japanese name is Kokaku Kidotai. Anyone want to guess what that is? Kokaku Kidotai. I'll wait and see if anyone knows what that one is without looking it up. Because that anime, I think, has been really influential around the world, not just to me, but to a lot of people. All right, well, I think I'll just tell you, Kokaku Kidotai is Ghost in the Shell. Yeah. And the Japanese name of it loosely kind of translates to Mobile Riot Police. And I just love the name of that. That's kind of one of the first, like, I just like the way that rolls off the tongue, Kokaku Kidotai. And I thought it was really interesting, the idea of a riot shield. Because to me, it was kind of like the idea that, like, wow, this is so popular, you got to like keep people away, because it's just, they're going to overwhelm you. And that's kind of where I was thinking of it. Between us, yeah, when I first came up with it, I totally did not think about Riot Games, because like I don't play their games, but I was like, hope it's not too similar. I don't think it is. I've had one guy in the history of having this company name completely confused me with Riot Games. This poor guy, he was, I think, from Poland, and he wanted his discount wasn't working for Riot Games, and he was like trying to ask me to fix it, and I was trying to explain to him in English, this isn't working, he still wouldn't get it, so I had to like use Google Translate and go into translate to Polish. I'm like, this is the wrong site, go to the right one, please. I'm really sorry. I hope they help you out. Um, so yeah, but so far, other than that, it hasn't really been an issue with anybody. I think a riot shield and a riot are very different things. I know riots and riot shields have been in the news lately, and I feel bad that for all the things going on. I hope everyone stays safe and all that, and hope we're okay. Yeah, all that good stuff. But again, yeah, just follow me on Facebook and Twitter. Send me a note. Um, you can always send me an email. I'll respond to it. I type really fast, and so I will respond to almost every. I hope I respond to every single bit of everyone who's written to me. Some people they write gibberish sometimes, so I don't know how to respond, but I try to address everyone's emails. I think I have one from Guillermo that's in my inbox that I will get to. I've just been a bit busy, buddy, but I will get to that. And thank you again for your work on all this stuff. It's been really, really helpful. And if anyone's into programming Unity, also reach out. I'm happy to talk to you about that um, because Unity is something that I really like and makes me happy. So I'm always happy to help people learn how to code better. All right, so we're about 5 after. I'm not really getting any new comments. That's okay. So we're going to wrap it up now. Thank you all again so much, so much. I really appreciate it. Hope you have a great day, and I'll hear from you soon. All right, ciao, take care, and take it easy. And keep learning Japanese. I love it. Bye.